Home. Does anyone ever think of the value proposition of home, of things around home, of being home? Specifically, I was thinking, in California, I don't think it's worth it. I technically live there. Eating out is so expensive, you don't get your money's worth. Easily $20 per person for not so great food. Everything's expensive, just going out, buying a ticket to this or that. Driving takes hours to get anywhere. We have the traffic. Weather's horrible now. Fires raging, smoke filling the air. The whole point is you could go in California and live outside. Don't have to be stuck inside. Otherwise, might as well be in a big city in Asia where it's everything to do is just polluted outside. Value. Does anybody think about the value proposition? Japan's a great value right now with exchange rate. Food is very cheap. Hotels are rather expensive. You could try to get good deals though. But does anybody think about value, whether something is worth it? If you're at home, around home, I would venture to say the answer is no, right? You just suck it up. It's just the cost of being home. But you don't really think about cost, it's just home. Things are that expensive. Is there any point to thinking about how much cheaper it is elsewhere? House values. It's just what it costs to buy a house there. Does it matter that somewhere houses are twice as big and half as much? People say, well, that's where your family is. So can you put a price tag on that? Think about all the people who work elsewhere. Can they put a price tag on that? From all countries, they go elsewhere to get a job, send money home. You could definitely put a price tag on it. But yet somehow, mostly at home, at least in Americans, there is no value proposition because nobody thinks about it. It's a moot point. And that's the funny thing I find in today's world. People understand that mobility is an important thing. That's part of freedom of movement. You don't have to get a visa to cross state lines, county lines. That's great. That's called freedom. That gives you capabilities that people in other countries don't. In China, for example, you could go to another place and live there, but you're not a resident. You don't have benefits. Can't send your kids to school there. So there's limitations, obviously. In the US, there aren't. But yet people don't think about moving. Why not? Do people look down on people who go abroad? Nepali often go abroad to earn money sent home. Filipinos as well. Do they like it? Do they not? I don't know. I presume everybody's different. But what about the value proposition? My friend was saying some people live in certain areas. They work there even though they don't make much money. They just like being there. That's a value proposition. But yet, many people are fixated on the fact that they're from a place, and it seems like they can't move, even if the place doesn't have a good value proposition for them. I guess it goes back to this idea of whether you question things that are just the status quo, things passed down, the way things are. Do you just accept it, such is life? When you put it that way, if people just accept their lot in life, then everyone say, no, I'm going to improve myself. But yet, where home is, why do people accept that when the value isn't there anymore? Right? We all know home isn't just a house. Home is where the heart is. Thus, home is not a place. Most people would agree. We would say, yes, you don't need a $40 million house to call a home. So we see one extreme, but we don't see the other side. Why is it that you need to be in a place where you are to call home? Why can't a new place be home? Why can't we compare across different places, across different countries? We have the ability to move. Why are we stuck? You may say, because your children are there and growing up. And I think it's harmful for children to move. I guess then you would say former heads of states who moved a lot, their parents did bad for them, right? I mean, when you put it that way, then you can't say no, right? I think that's one thing. When you say there's famous people who moved around a lot, and they're fine. Elon Musk is from South Africa. Does anyone say he's traumatized and that's why his background made him such a unsuccessful, miserable person? No, not at all. Why is it that you're not allowed to move? Why is it that value doesn't come to play a role when you're considering whether your house should be here? Why is it that we don't think about value when we're at home, but elsewhere we will? Is our life segregated? At home is untouchable. And I say most people think it's their fortress, yes. Well, what if your house got burned up in a fire? You know it's not untouchable. The illusion has been shattered. Do you still rebuild in the same area? Why? It's not true. Living a myth, living a lie. Why do you want to do that to yourself? Why is it that you can't look at yourself, look at flaws that need to be improved on? We'd say it's not good to be the emperor with no clothes. And yet when it comes to objectively valuing home, circumstances around home, nobody seems able to look at it objectively. Nobody seems able to see it through a mirror without having the mirror horribly disfigure everything and make it so you can't see very well at all.